Well, nearly $6 billion was invested in commercial real estate deals in Indiana in 2019, with more than 14,000 properties changing hands. Indiana's commercial real estate market remains on the longest uninterrupted expansion on record. But will it continue? Cushman Wakefield's Managing Director, Investor Services, Jason Tolliver, is here now with a look at statewide trends in commercial real estate and what he expects might happen in 2020. Jason, it's always great to have you on the show.
It's great to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, let's start off. I talk about that longest uninterrupted stretch. It really has been an amazing run.
It's been a decade, can you believe it? I mean, the industrial market, the office market, multifamily, retail, you name it, continues to grow. So I think that's going to continue. I think mid-year we're going to have about 10 full years of growth, and there's no signs that we've seen with the numbers you just shared of it slowing at all.
All right, let's talk about some of the sectors in particular. The office market, as you look at that, both here in Indianapolis, but around the state, been pretty strong. Yeah,
you know, it has been. And what's really interesting is now you see some of the strongest demand, not just in Indianapolis, it's occurring in Evansville and Fort Wayne and other markets. So those kind of smaller secondary markets have really strong growth stories. I think the outlook for them may be even stronger than Central Indiana. But when you turn to Central Indiana, all the different leasing profiles that we see are really strong as well. So I think that there's no indication that that's going to slow. Really bullish on the outlook.
Yeah, and some of the industries driving office?
Well, in Central Indiana, I mean, tech remains a key driver. We're seeing a lot of healthcare-related leasing, and then the professional and business services that are kind of the backbone of that continue to drive significant demand. So health across all three sectors, no reason to think that's going to change.
Moving on to a sector that continues to be red hot, and that's industrial.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, the worst bet to make is to bet against Indiana industrial. It continues to outperform not just the peers regionally, but it remains among the industry leaders nationally. Historic year last year in terms of new leasing demand, to continued expansions, attracting new folks to the state, and existing Hoosier tenants continuing to expand. I think that's going to be a key storyline that'll continue in the year ahead, and then it's going to be a story of supply and construction. We're seeing a pretty significant uptick in that, and so that's something to keep your eye on.
New leasing records?
Yeah, new leasing records set last year, and the only way you get a new leasing record set in a segment like that is to have broad-based demand, and that's what we're seeing. So it's logistics providers, retailers, wholesalers, all are taking down space.
Another segment, multifamily, is one that's getting a lot of attention. Again, not just here in Central Indiana, but around the state.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, multifamily, even nationally, remains a very favored asset class. The performance and the fundamentals are significantly strong, and I think the key storyline there is that you've got really strong demand that our team reports at all types of space. So your newer space, there's really significant demand, as well as your Class B and Class C space. So just a tremendous story there.
Yeah, as we look ahead to 2020, any dark clouds out there? You know, coronavirus?
Yeah, so that's the one thing that's in the headline right now, deservedly so. I think the key takeaway for the property markets there is to recognize that the property markets are not the equity markets, meaning the stock market, there's a tremendous amount of volatility. Property market, commercial real estate is very different. It's much slower. Certainly, if the volatility that we're seeing or the outbreak were to get much worse and impact the economy in a negative way, there could be a spillover effect. But it's way too early to kind of forecast that for the market. I think it's going to be a really positive outlook in 2020.
All right, good news, great perspective as always from Jason Tolliver from Cushman & Wakefield. Jason, always great to see you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
All right.